All right, let's dive into something a little different today. Um, we're going to be looking at financial reports.
Oh, exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
And, these are not always the most thrilling reads, but we're going to try to unpack these and see what they tell us
Yeah.
about a company. And the company we're looking at is Geo Financial Services,
JSS.
or JFS. This is a relatively new
Yeah.
financial services company in India.
Mm-hmm.
They're formerly known as Reliance Strategic Investments Limited.
Right.
So part of this larger Reliance Industries conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got their fingers in all sorts of pies.
They do.
Lending, insurance, payments.
Yep.
They've even got this joint venture with BlackRock
Yeah.
for asset and wealth management.
It's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
So what we have in front of us is a stack of their official documents.
I love a good stack of documents.
It is a stack. So we have their Q3 2024 financial results.
Okay.
Both consolidated, so that's for the whole group,
Mm-hmm.
and standalone, which is just JFS itself.
Okay.
And then we also have their investor presentations. We're going to be looking at all three of these.
Right.
And our mission here is to try to figure out, how is this young company performing?
Mm-hmm.
What does their strategy look like?
Mm.
And are there any sort of surprising details that jump out at us?
Yeah, I love the surprises.
Those are fun. So
Yeah. Let's jump in
let's jump right in
to the numbers.
to the numbers. So let's start with that big picture.
Okay.
Looking at the consolidated financials.
All right.
And the first thing that jumps out is, their revenue.
Mm-hmm.
How much money did they bring in?
Yeah.
This quarter, it was 438.35 crore rupees.
Okay. A crore, just a reminder, is 10 million.
10 million.
So we're talking big numbers here.
Big numbers.
Yes.
Now, I noticed this is actually a dip from the previous quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Q2, it was 693.50, and just a slight bump up from what they earned in the same period last year, Q3 2023, which was 413.61.
Yeah.
So are we seeing like a sign of trouble here, or is this just kind of a fluctuation?
Well, it's hard to say at this point definitively, but, it's something to watch.
Okay.
I think we have to remember that this is a relatively new company. They're still figuring things out. Their revenue streams are still developing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always going to be this straight line up,
Right.
up and to the right.
Sure.
So
Okay.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on it for sure.
Now, what about profit?
Yeah.
So the consolidated report shows a profit this quarter of 294.78 crore rupees.
Okay.
Again, that's a pretty significant drop from Q2's 689.007,
Right.
but still a little bit higher than the 293.82 from Q3 2023.
So it's similar to last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, sort of some fluctuations there.
Yeah. And, there could be all kinds of reasons for those fluctuations.
Right.
Like maybe there were some one-off events or, things that happen like seasonally.
Right.
So I think to get a better understanding, we need to kind of really break down their revenue sources.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at those different revenue streams
Okay.
and see what's really kind of powering
Yeah.
this GFS financial engine.
The engine. Yeah.
So first up, we have interest income.
Mm-hmm.
And this makes up, a big chunk of their consolidated revenue.
Right.
What this is telling us is that they're actively involved in lending money
Mm-hmm.
through their NBFC Geofinance Limited.
Right. Which is a non-banking financial company,
Right.
just for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah. And it's not just any lending operation. I mean, their assets under management,
Yeah.
or AUM for Geofinance Limited,
Right.
have grown from 12,206 crore rupees in Q2
Mm-hmm.
to a pretty staggering 4,199 crore rupees in Q3.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Yeah.
So, that means they're either attracting a lot more borrowers
Mm-hmm.
or offering a lot larger loans.
Right.
Or maybe a combination of both.
Probably both. Yeah.
So what's driving that?
Yeah. That makes you wonder.
Like, what is fueling that AUM growth for Geofinance Limited?
Mm-hmm.
Are they tapping into, like, a specific market?
Mm-hmm.
Are they offering these, like, unique loan products?
Right.
That are attracting borrowers?
Yeah. We need to investigate that more deeply.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little mystery there.
A little mystery. Yeah.
But let's move on to their next revenue source,
Okay.
which is dividend income.
Mm-hmm.
And this one seems a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah.
They're making money from their investments
Mm-hmm.
in other companies.
Right.
So,
And what I find interesting about that, the dividend income is how consistent it's been
Yeah.
across the different quarters.
Uh-huh.
So that suggests that they've put together this really well-diversified portfolio that's generating steady returns regardless of what the market's doing.
So they're not too exposed to...
Yeah, it seems like they're playing it smart.
Okay.
Kind of, like long-term
Right.
strategy.
All right, so they've got that steady stream coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about fees and commission income.
Okay.
I imagine this is tied to, like, their payments and insurance broking services.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
So think of it like this.
Okay.
Every time someone uses the GeoFinance app
Mm-hmm.
to pay a bill or buy insurance or, do any of those financial things,
Uh-huh.
that's contributing to this
Okay.
revenue stream.
So it's all those little transactions adding up.
It is.
Yeah.
And you can see that it's growing,
Right.
which means people are using those services more.
Okay. And I imagine that's driven by, their push to be, like, digital first.
Oh, yeah. All those partnerships they're doing, too.
Company.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So the next revenue category is a little... it caught my eye a little bit
Okay.
because it's net gain on fair value changes.
Yeah, that one's not as obvious
No.
as some of the others.
But can you explain, like, what is that in plain English?
All right, so basically this category,
Mhm.
it's about how the value of certain things JFS owns
Uh-huh.
has changed over the quarter.
Okay.
So we're talking about assets,
Mhm.
like stocks or bonds, that kind of stuff.
But it's not, like, direct income.
No, it's not like they got money from those things directly.
Right.
It's more like if they were to sell those assets today,
Mm-hmm.
how much profit would they make?
So it's kind of like if, your house value goes up,
Yeah,
even if you're not renting it out.
right. It's potential profit.
Yeah, okay.
And in this case, they've got a pretty big net gain,
Mm-hmm.
which means overall, those investments they have are
Mhm.
doing well.
Okay.
Now, this probably ties into all their investment activities.
Right.
Maybe even the BlackRock thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something we might need to look into a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got a good kind of overview now of their overall financial picture
Mm-hmm.
and all these different ways they're making money.
Right. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket,
Right. They're diversified.
which is a smart move.
Yeah. Especially for a young company.
For sure.
But to really understand this ecosystem, we need to look at those key players
Yes, exactly.
within it.
Like, who's on the team?
Right.
And what position are they playing?
So there's subsidiaries and joint ventures.
Yeah.
Right. And the report lists quite a few,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm guessing some are more central than others
Yeah.
to their operation.
Some are making big moves already,
Mhm.
and others are like, they have that potential for the future.
Right.
It's exciting.
Okay. So let's
Pick a player.
start with one that we already talked about a little bit,
Okay.
which is GeoFinance Limited.
That's right.
So they're NBFC.
The lending arm.
Right. We know they're experiencing phenomenal growth.
Mm-hmm.
In their AUM, they're focusing on that digital lending.
Yeah.
And they're really actively going after those external partnerships.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit more about, like, their operations. What kinds of products do they offer?
So they're not just doing your typical loans.
Okay.
They've got home loans and loans against property, but then they also have these more specialized things,
Okay.
like loans on shares
How interesting.
and mutual funds.
Okay.
So they're trying to appeal to, like, a really wide range of borrowers, from
Yeah.
individuals to businesses,
Right.
all sorts.
So they're not, like, limiting themselves.
No, they're casting a wide net.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this digital-first approach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that really gives them an edge in a market?
I think it does. Like India's.
It's a crowded market,
Yeah.
lots of competition.
Sure. But being digital, it lets them reach so many more people,
Mm-hmm.
especially like, millennials and Gen Z,
Right.
all the folks who are used to doing everything online.
Yeah.
And it makes the whole lending process faster and easier.
Right. No one wants to go to a bank branch anymore
Exactly.
if they don't have to.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of have a good grasp of GeoFinance Limited
Mm-hmm.
and what their role is.
Yep.
What about some of these other ventures? So the report mentions a Geo Payments Bank,
Oh, yeah.
which
I mean,
that makes sense.
that makes sense. Right? Yeah.
With India's, like, digital payments market,
It's booming.
it's booming.
Yeah,
So they're tapping into that.
definitely. And their customer base is growing.
Okay.
What I think is really smart is how they've linked it with those GeoParat phones,
Right.
because that gives them access to this whole rural market.
Yeah, people who might not have traditional bank accounts.
Right.
Right. And they're already using those phones?
Exactly. So it's like a natural fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're using their existing infrastructure to broaden those financial services offerings
And reach more people.
and reach more people.
It's smart.
Yeah. Okay. And speaking of smart moves, let's talk about Geo Payment Solutions.
Oh, yes.
So they just received this payment aggregator license,
Big news.
which sounds like it could be a game changer.
It could be.
But I have to admit, I'm not 100% sure what that means.
Yeah, it's a little jargony.
Yeah. So break it down for me. What does a payment aggregator license actually allow them to do?
Okay, so basically they can now act as this middleman
Okay.
between merchants and customers
Uh-huh.
and process all those online payments
Mm-hmm.
for businesses.
So it's like instead of each business having to set up their own
Exactly.
system, they could just go through Geo.
Plug right in.
Yeah.
And especially for smaller businesses
Right.
who maybe can't deal with all those like complex systems on their own.
Right.
This is a huge help.
It's streamlining it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So it really positions them as a major player
Oh, yeah.
in that digital payments world.
They could be processing so many transactions.
Right. Making a lot of money.
Yeah, all those fees add up.
So they're not just providing financial services to individuals. They're also becoming like, this critical
Yeah, like the backbone.
infrastructure provider for all these businesses.
Exactly.
So it's very comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've covered Geo Finance Limited, Geo Payments Bank, Geo Payment Solutions. What other ventures are playing, key roles?
Well, we can't forget about insurance.
Right.
They've got Geo Insurance Broking,
Uh-huh.
and they're not just doing things the old-fashioned way.
Okay. What are they doing differently?
It's multi-channel.
Multi-channel. So.
Yeah, so they're reaching customers directly
Mm-hmm.
through, apps and websites,
Yep.
but they're also like embedding insurance
Oh, interesting.
into other products and services. And they're even working with like big institutions
Right. Yeah.
to provide insurance solutions.
So very comprehensive.
Very comprehensive, yeah.
What kinds of products are they offering?
Well, they've got the usual suspects,
Okay.
car insurance, health insurance,
Uh-huh.
but then they also have these kind of innovative things like solar panel insurance.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it seems like they're willing to, try new things,
Mm-hmm.
see what works.
Go after those niche markets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is smart in a market that's changing so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's insurance.
we've talked about a lot of these different ventures now,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't overlook the big one.
Oh, the big one.
The elephant in the room.
Right. The Geo BlackRock.
The Geo BlackRock joint ventures.
Joint ventures. Yeah. This is the one to watch.
Yeah.
For sure. So they're waiting for the final approval on their asset management venture.
And the wealth management arm is just getting started.
Right.
Yeah.
And this partnership is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because it really does bring together these two, powerhouses.
Yeah.
Right.
You've got JFS
Right. With their understanding of
with their local knowledge.
the Indian market,
Yeah.
their massive customer base,
Uh-huh.
and then you have BlackRock,
The global giant.
this global, giant
Yeah.
with a proven track record.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're bound to be challenges, right?
Oh, of course.
You're merging two different
Culture, different ways of doing things.
Mhm.
You've got to navigate all the regulations.
Right.
It's not easy.
So it's not just a guaranteed win.
No. It'll be
Right.
interesting to see how they manage it all.
All right. So a lot of exciting ventures here. But to really get the full picture, we have to also look at how JFS itself is performing,
Right. Separate from all those other ventures.
right, as an investor
As an investor.
on its own.
Yeah. Let's shift gears and look at their standalone performance.
Okay.
See what their own financial moves tell us.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so we're looking at JFS now as this independent investor.
Right. On their own, not just the parent company.
Right, exactly. So what does their standalone performance tell us?
Well, one thing that jumps out is how much of their revenue
Mm-hmm.
comes from dividend income.
Okay.
So that means they're holding, substantial stakes in other companies.
Right.
Probably getting those nice, steady returns.
So it's like they have this solid base
Yeah, a good foundation.
before we even factor in all the growth and potential
Exactly.
of their subsidiary.
It shows they know what they're doing
Yeah.
when it comes to picking investments. And remember that net gain on fair value changes we talked about?
Yeah, remind me what that was again?
Right. So that's basically the profit they'd make
Okay.
if they sold certain assets
Mm-hmm.
at their current market value. So like stocks and bonds and...
Yeah, maybe even real estate. Who knows?
Okay, but it's not actually income yet.
No, not realized income.
Right.
But it shows they're making good choices,
Okay.
picking things that are going up in value.
So even if I don't fully understand, like, all the ins and outs of finance,
Mm-hmm.
I can look at that and say, okay, they're not just
Right.
throwing money around.
They have a plan.
There's a strategy here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're building that investment portfolio.
Right.
They're picking winners.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on top of all that, their overall standalone profit
Mm-hmm.
for the quarter is 75.18 crore rupees.
Which is healthy,
Very healthy.
especially when we remember this is just JFS,
Just them
separate from all the other businesses.
on their own.
Yeah.
So it paints this picture of a company that's not just, ambitious,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also careful
Right.
with money.
Right. They're not being reckless.
No, which is good. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives me more confidence.
Exactly. It means they can probably make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for themselves, but for all those other ventures they're involved in.
Right. So it's like they're showing.
They know what they're doing
Yeah.
before they ask anyone else to trust them
Right. Exactly.
with their money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something JFS highlights a lot in their investor presentation.
Okay.
They call them their 4Rs principles.
The 4 Rs.
Yeah. So it's reputation, regulation, return of capital, and return on capital.
Catchy.
It is catchy.
Yeah.
So these are like the core values, the principles
Operating principles, yeah.
that are driving everything they do.
How they make decisions.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
let's break those down one by one.
Okay.
So starting with reputation,
Mm-hmm.
why would a company, especially a new one like JFS,
Right.
put so much emphasis on that?
Well, in finance, reputation is everything.
Right.
It's all about trust. You have to trust the people you're giving your money to.
Mm-hmm.
So by saying, hey, we're all about ethics and transparency,
Yeah.
good relationships with everyone,
Mm-hmm.
they're saying, you can trust us.
Right. They're trying to build that brand
Yeah.
that's reliable and trustworthy.
Solid.
Right. Now, what about regulation?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that seems kind of like a given
You'd hope so, right?
for any financial institution. So why are they highlighting it?
I think it's about going beyond just, following the rules,
Okay.
because you have to.
Right.
It's about saying, we're actually embracing those regulations.
Okay.
We believe in them.
Right.
And that can really help build confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Because, let's be honest, the financial world
Right.
sometimes gets a bad rap.
Right. There's a little bit of skepticism.
Exactly.
So they're trying to be like, no, we're the good guys.
Yeah, we're the good guys.
Yeah.
We do things right.
Okay. So they're setting a high standard
High standard.
and they're showing that commitment to responsible
Responsible growth.
growth. Okay. Now let's talk about return of capital.
Great.
This one might be a little, I don't know.
Jargony.
Yeah, jargony. Can you explain it in like simple terms?
Okay, so imagine you invest in JFS
Okay.
or one of their ventures.
Mm-hmm.
Return of capital basically means you get that money back
Right.
safely.
So it's like, I'm not going to lose my shirt.
Exactly.
Okay.
Your principal is protected.
Okay. So it's giving those investors that sense of security.
Yeah.
Like their money is safe.
Mm-hmm.
It will be returned as promised.
Sometime, as agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, we have return on capital.
Right, so this one's about actually making money,
Okay.
not just keeping your money safe, but actually growing it.
Right. You want your money to work for you,
Exactly.
not just sit there.
Exactly.
So they're saying they can do both, right?
They're saying they can do both, protect your money and grow it.
Which is what every investor wants.
That's the dream.
Right.
Yeah.
So by highlighting these 4Rs, they're really showing,
Their philosophy.
like their guiding
I'll
principles.
go do business.
But, as we talked about earlier,
Actions speak louder than words.
right.
Very.
It's one thing to say these things.
You gotta walk the walk.
It's another to actually do them.
Exactly.
So, while these 4Rs sound good,
Mm-hmm.
we have to watch their actions.
See if they live up to it.
Make sure they match their words.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've looked at their standalone performance.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about their guiding principles.
The 4 Rs.
I think now we're ready to jump back in.
back to those ventures.
To those ventures.
See how they're changing the game?
Yeah, see what impact they're having.
Yeah.
All right, so we've looked at their financials, their ventures, those guiding principles.
Yeah, the whole picture, almost.
It really feels like JFS is all about growth,
Mm-hmm.
diversification,
They're not messing around.
not messing around. Yeah, they're going all in on this ecosystem.
The whole financial world, it seems like.
Yeah, to meet all these different needs.
And doing it well from what we've seen, at least on their own.
What do you think is like their biggest strength from everything we've looked at?
Oh, gotta be that digital first thing.
Yeah, that seems to be a theme.
It's letting them reach everyone, especially those younger folks who live online.
Who are used to doing everything on their phones.
Exactly, and it's all seamless, easy to use,
Like banking, investing, insurance, loans, all in one app.
all in one spot.
And especially in India, where so many people haven't had access to this stuff before.
It's like they're opening up the world of finance.
Democratizing it.
Yeah, making it easy for everyone.
And not just easy, but giving people the tools to actually understand their money.
Take control.
Exactly. And of course, there's that BlackRock partnership looming large.
That's the wild card.
Could really shake things up in India.
Big time.
What are your thoughts on that now that we've seen all this other stuff? It does seem like, the perfect match, on paper at least.
Yeah, you've got JFS, they know India, they have all those customers.
And BlackRock, they're the global experts. They know how to invest.
Winning combo, right?
But I do wonder about, those cultural clashes that could happen.
Different companies, different ways of doing things.
And the Indian regulations are, pretty complex.
Got to navigate that carefully.
So it's not a sure thing. There are risks.
There are always risks, especially something this big.
They're going to have to be really smart about how they handle all this.
Absolutely. So it's potential, huge potential, but also some big questions.
Makes you wonder, can they keep up this momentum in such a competitive market?
Yeah, it's a tough world out there.
What do you see as their biggest challenges and the opportunities too, I guess? Well, I mean, they're up against some big players in every area.
Every single one. Yeah, banking, insurance, payments, all of it.
They have to be constantly innovating, right?
Yeah. Keeping up with what customers want, the technology, it's a moving target.
And then there's the regulations, the economy, even global stuff that could impact them.
It's a lot to juggle, yeah.
It really is. Like they're trying to balance so many things at once.
Growth, but not too fast. Taking risks, but being smart about it.
Yeah, a delicate balance.
But hey, so far they seem to be managing.
Yeah, I'd say so. They've got a good plan, and they're willing to take those risks.
Calculated risk.
Exactly, and they're really focused on making things work for the customer.
That's what matters in the end.
It is, yeah. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Into the world of JFS.
it's a story of, ambition,
Walks of it.
innovation, and how tech can really change finance.
But the story's not over yet.
That's the exciting part. We have all these insights now,
We've seen what they're doing, where they're going.
but it's all going to come down to how they handle what comes next.
Yeah, those challenges, those opportunities.
It's going to be fascinating to watch. So to our listener out there,
Keep an eye on JFS.
their story's just getting started. Who knows what the future holds?